learn about the lumbar prolapse intervertebral disc. These are the contents: anatomy, pathology, clinical features, examination, investigations, differential diagnosis, and treatment. Now about anatomy. The intervertebral disc consists of three distinct components: the cartilaginous end plates, nucleus pulposus, and annulus fibrosus. These are mainly three contents. The cartilaginous end plates are thin layer of hyaline cartilage between adjacent vertebral bodies. And the disc proper. The disc receives its nutrition from the vertebral bodies via these end plates by diffusion. The nucleus pulposus is a gelatinous material which lie a little posterior to the central axis of the vertebra. It is enclosed in annular fibrosus, a structure composed of the concentric rings of the fibrocartilaginous tissue. The nucleus pulposus is normally under the considerable pressure and is restrained by the crucible-like annulus. The posterior longitudinal ligament is a strap-like ligament at the back of the vertebral bodies and the disc. Now, pathology. The term prolapsed disc means protrusion or extrusion of the nucleus pulposus through a rent in the annulus fibrosus. It is not a one-time phenomena, rather it is a sequence of changes in the disc which ultimately lead to its prolapse. These changes consist of the following stages. Stage 1, stage of degeneration, means no bulging. Second stage, stage of protrusion, just bulge. Third stage, stage of extrusion, out but in contact with the parent disc. Stage of sequestration, out, no contact with the parent disc. Now what is nucleus degeneration? Degenerative changes occur in the disc before displacement of the nuclear material. These changes are: 1 is softening of the nucleus and its fragmentation, and the second is weakening and disintegration of the posterior part of the annulus. Now what is nucleus displacement? The nucleus is under the positive pressure at all times when the annulus becomes weak, either because a small area of its entire thickness has disintegrated spontaneously or because of injury. The nucleus tends to bulge through defect. This is called disc protrusion. This tendency is greatly increased if the nucleus is degenerated and fragmented. Finally, the nucleus comes out of the annulus and lie under the posterior longitudinal ligament. Though it has no loose contact with the parent disc, this is called the disc extrusion. Once extruded, the disc does not go back. The posterior longitudinal ligament is not strong enough to prevent the nucleus from the protruding further. The extruded disc may lose its contact with the parent disc when it is called sequestrated disc. The sequestrated disc may come to lie behind the posterior longitudinal ligament or may become free fragment in the canal. Now the stage of fibrosis. This is the stage of repair. This begins alongside of the degeneration. The residual nucleus pulposus becomes fibrous. The extruded nucleus pulposus becomes flattened, fibrous, and finally undergoes calcification. At the same time, new bone formations occur at the point where the posterior longitudinal ligament has been stripped from the vertebral body, and spur formation occur. Now, secondary changes associated with the disc prolapse. As a consequence of disc prolapse, changes occur in the structure occupying the spinal canal and in the intervertebral joints. These are the following. Changes in the structure occupying spinal canal. Commonly, the unilateral protrusion is in the contact with the spinal theca and compress one or more roots in their extrathecal course. The nerve root affected usually ones which leave the spinal canal below the next vertebra. Pressure effect on the intrathecal roots of the cauda equina may occur by a sudden large disc protrusion in the spinal canal and may present as a cauda equina syndrome. Now, what is cauda equina syndrome? A cauda equina syndrome results when the patient has irregular element type paresthesia in the lower limb, bilaterally absent ankle jerk with the hyposthesia in the region of the L5 to S1 dermatomes and urinary and bowel incontinence. This is the picture which is showing low back pain disc herniation. The commonest level of the disc prolapse is between L4-L5 in the lumbar spine and C5-C6 in the cervical spine. In the lumbar spine, it is uncommon above L3-L4 level. Herniation of the L5-S1 disc will affect the S1 roots, as per the diagram. Now changes in the intervertebral joints. Height of the disc is reduced. This affects the articulation of the posterior facet joints. Now clinical features. The patient is usually an adult between 20 to 40 years of age with a sedentary lifestyle. The commonest presenting symptom is low back pain with or without the pain radiating down the back of the leg. Sometimes it is called sciatica. A presenting history of trauma is present in some cases. In a few cases, there is a history of extension such as having lifting something heavy or pushed something immediately, presenting a sudden onset backache. The following symptoms are common: low back pain, sciatic pain, and neurological symptoms. Now, what is sciatic pain? This is usually associated with the low back pain, but may be the sole presenting symptoms. The pain radiates to gluteal region, the back of the thigh, and the leg. The pattern of the radiation depends upon the root compression. In S1 root compression, the pain radiates to the posterolateral calf and heel. Now, what is neurological symptom? Sometimes the patient complain of paresthesia, most often described as a pain and needles corresponding to the dermatome of the affected nerve root. These may be numbness in the leg or foot and weakness of the muscle. This is the sciatica root when patient feel pain through the gluteal region to the heel. Now examination. Posture. Rigid flattened lumbar spine trunk is shifted forward on the hip. The trunk is tilted to one side, like this type of posture. Movements unable to bend forward, tenderness, diffuse tenderness in the lumbosacral region, SLRT, a positive SLRT at 40° or less suggestive of root compression. Lessengius test, this is the modification of SLRT. Neurological examination reveal motor weakness, sensory loss or loss of reflex corresponding to affected nerve root. This is the SLRT procedure, how to do it, and when it is positive and when it is negative, and if it is positive, then which nerve root compression is present. Now investigations. Plain X-ray, it does not show any positive sign in a case of acute disc prolapse. X-ray are done basically to rule out bony pathologies such as infections etc. In a case of chronic disc prolapse, the affected disc space may be narrowed and there may be a limping of the vertebral margin posteriorly. In MRI scan, this is investigation of choice. It shows the prolapsed disc, theca, nerve roots, etc. very clearly. Now differential diagnosis. Ankylosing spondylitis, vascular insufficiency, extradural trauma, and spinal tuberculosis. Treatment. Principle of treatment. Aim of the treatment is to achieve remission of symptoms mostly possible by the conservative means. Cases who do not respond to conservative treatment for 3 to 6 weeks and those presenting with cauda equina syndrome may require operative intervention. Now there are mainly three compartments of the management: medical management, surgical management, and physiotherapy management. In medical management, NSAIDs, analgesics, oral steroids, and muscle relaxant etc. is given by the orthopedician. In physical treatment, rest, modality to reduce pain and spasm, moist hit for 10 minutes, lumbar traction, and TENS. In rehabilitation program, patient education, stretching program, strengthening program with a focus on abdominal exercises, spinal stabilization. In advanced therapy, McKenzie program to centralize extremity pain. Extension bias program may be used for the posterior lateral herniated nucleus pulposus, and neutral or flexion bias program may be used for the lateral herniated nucleus pulposus. There is a strong tendency to spontaneous recovery. Cases may present with signs of cord compression or root compression is the upper limb. Such cases may require surgery. The disc is exposed from the front and the material removed. Now operative management: fenestration, laminectomy, hemilaminectomy, and laminectomy. These are the references: Essential Orthopedic Maheshwari, 5th edition, and Essential of Orthopedic John Abrahamson, 2nd edition. Thank you.